Alright, to begin your grid drawing, the first thing that you have to do is figure out, are you working with a square photo or a rectangle photo? Because you're going to be choosing a grid piece of paper based upon what size you made your photo. So my beginning photo was a square. So at your table you will have grid paper that is either a square that's 6 boxes by 6 boxes, or a rectangle that's 4.5 boxes by 6 boxes. So you need to choose the beginning photo based upon what your image is shaped as. Then at your tables you will have plastic and a container of Sharpies and rulers. So what you're going to do is use the tape that's at your table also, and you want to center that plastic over the top of the grid. There will be a little bit of extra hanging over the edge, and that's fine. And so a small piece of tape, all you're going to do is tape down one side. Then, using the ruler and the Sharpie marker, you are going to begin to outline or trace all the black lines that are printed, so including the outside edge of the square or the rectangle. So I'm going to line that up and trace. So as best as you can, try to hold the ruler still. If you get off the line slightly, it's not going to make that big of a difference. This is just a guide to help you create your contour drawing. And then once you finish going in one of those directions, turn your ruler and then go in the opposite direction, including the outside edge of the square or the rectangle. Okay, then when you finish, it is helpful to label your grid with letters going across one side and numbers going across the other side. So now what I'm going to do is put letters and then numbers going the other way. So that I've got a row of A through F and a row of 1 through 6. So if you're doing a rectangle, you'll still have the 1 through 6, but then, well, I guess it depends on how you do your lettering. So your rectangle side will have 4.5 in one direction, or you'll have 4.5 going the other direction. 6 will be the other number. Okay, so once you finish this, then you're going to take your grid off of your paper. And please do not throw this paper away. I'll collect this at the end of class because my next period can use this same tracing paper. But when you place your plastic on top of another image, you'll still be able to see your grid lines. And I happen to have a brown marker, so it's not as bold as the black marker would be to see it in the video, but you can see that the grid is there. Alright, then what you're going to do is you are going to take that plastic with your grid and you are going to line that up on top of your printed photo. And it should match if you did your resizing correct in the computer lab. Okay, so once you've got it lined up, now what you're going to be doing is looking for the contour lines of whatever it is on your photo. So the contour line would be any letter or caricature. I'm actually going to add another tape so this won't slide around. Any shape where one color changes from a next or an outline, that's what you're going to be drawing on top with on top of the plastic with your Sharpie marker. So what I'm going to do is kind of draw in the edge of my rainbow on both sides. And you want to go slow and you want to be precise, because this is the beginning step to creating your enlarged drawing. And then I'm going to outline all the contour edges of my, for me it's these Lucky Charms shapes. So any edge where you see color change, that's what you're going to be outlining. And then I would be outlining around my letters. And if your letters have edges where they change color, then you want to create all those lines. So then I would proceed to trace all the rest of my contour lines. So I already had that step completed, and when you finish, this is what it's going to look like. So right now I'm looking at just a contour edge of my Lucky Charms photo, and I did that simply by tracing. And you want to make sure that you do not throw this photo away. You have to look at this photo while you're drawing. You have to look at this photo while you are coloring your final assignment. Okay, once you have that step complete, now what we need to do is prepare our tracing paper. So you will either be working with a square piece of tracing paper or a rectangle, based upon whatever shape your beginning photo was. And on, let me zoom out of it. Okay, with this piece of tracing paper, now you need to still keep that Sharpie in your hand, because you're going to do this next step first with Sharpie marker. What you're going to do is create a grid that is the exact same size or number boxes of your plastic. So if you have a square, you're doing 6 boxes across and 6 boxes down. If it's a rectangle, it's 4.5 and then 6. So we are doubling our drawing. This grid that was given to you was 1-inch size square. So each box was 1 inch. The rectangle had 4 inches plus ½ an inch, a row that was half that size. So if we're doubling this, now it's going to become twice as big. So that now I want to make this grid 2 inches in size. So what I've done to help you do this, I have pre-cut these strips that are 2 inches wide. So to begin your grid, you're going to line that up on one edge of your tracing paper. And it's okay if the paper is slightly larger or slightly smaller than the stencil that you're tracing. So with one hand, you're going to hold that still, and then you're going to use your Sharpie marker and slide that standing straight up and down in the air, slide it along the edge. Then you're going to move that ruler over, line it up, hold that still, stand your marker up tall, and you're going to repeat this all the way across the paper. So if you're doing a rectangle, your last row is going to be short, and that is correct on the side that's 4.5. Okay, so now my last row. I am then going to turn my paper, put my ruler on the edge of the other side, and now I'm drawing those guides the opposite direction. So when I finish, for a square, I should have 6 boxes going on one side and 6 boxes going on the other. Rectangle, kids, you will have 4.5 boxes on one side and 6 on the other. And when I say 4.5, it means that one row will be 1-inch boxes instead of 2, because that would be half the size. Okay, so when you finish, now what you want to do is label the grid to match the label that you did on your plastic. So I did numbers going across the top and letters going down the side. So I want to keep that consistent. So inside the box, I'm going to draw letters across the top and numbers going down this side. So your first box will have a letter and a number. Okay, so now my grids match. And now what I'm going to be doing is switching out to pencil. You want this grid in Sharpie because when you erase your pencil drawing to make mistakes, your grid will not erase, your grid will be permanently there. Then you're going to be using the 6B pencil because that's the darkest color lead and it will print better to begin to draw your contours. So this might be overwhelming to look at if you leave your plastic on top of the photo because the color might distract you from the contour lines. So what I like to do is just turn my photo over, tape my contour on the back side where a piece of white paper is underneath. And now I'm going to begin to draw using the grid where I'm looking at just one box at a time and I'm just focusing on what I see in that one box. So we did this activity previously to teach you how to use a grid, how to look at where the grid lines are located, look at where your contours are located to help you get things accurate. So for me, A1 is empty. So now I'm just going to kind of move on to B1 and I see there's a half circle with a little bit of negative space. So I'm going to mark out a similar distance for my negative space and my half circle cuts in the corner. So now I'm just going to kind of sketch out that curved line. And I'm just looking inside B1. So now I see I've got this kind of curved line and I'm pressing pretty hard because I want dark lead on this page when I do this. And then I see it goes into the corner of C2. And